Hello Nargis, this is my feedback to your paragraph from last week. Very organized notes. Here obviously you want to spell out the idea a little bit more, but as notes it works for you. That's good. Now I just want to say, just looking at it, you've done a lot of good things here, and that's before you even had a model to work with, so that's impressive. Your first attempt is actually a very decent attempt, and I'm sure after seeing the model and after doing more practice, especially after today's small group tutorial and especially after next week's models and further practice, you will get even better. But just for starters, as a first starting attempt, this is actually a very good paragraph. So let's see what you've done here. Speaker introduces the idea of reverse discrimination to support, okay, fine. According to sufficiency, these evidences, or this evidence, this body of evidence, if there's more than one, is not enough. Why? Because it doesn't show distinctly how these programs discriminate against the majority and make diversity a problem. Okay. Why doesn't it show distinctly? So it would be better if the speaker will include clear examples why diversity is a reason and consequences which are faced by the majority. Yeah, I kind of like what you're saying here. This is a little bit more clear. You're saying it's not sufficient because all this evidence taken together, it doesn't really prove that the majority of applicants or candidates to these diversity programs do indeed face discrimination. It's not sufficient. The whole body of evidence does not unequivocally prove that there is systemic bias in America, as the speaker claims. Just one email, this is what the oracle is. This is an email basically, is just not enough. The Civil Rights Code, we can talk about that later. University, Facebook University and Google programs, basically he cherry picks, he finds what he needs, and imaginary, yeah, very nice, hypothetical examples, exactly. All these things is just not enough. Now in your evidence paragraph in the exam, you will probably name these directly. When you're attacking a piece of evidence, even if you're attacking more than one piece of evidence at the same time, it's good to name it directly, right? Instead of this evidence, you could just say cherry picking internship program applications and giving examples of hypothetical children in hypothetical families is not sufficient to blah blah. It's good to know exactly what evidence you're attacking, even if you're attacking it together as a body of evidence. Okay. So it's not sufficient. Why? Because he's making a very general claim. He's making a claim about a systemic bias all across American diversity programs in tech companies. To prove that very general claim, this evidence is not sufficient. It simply does not prove that the majority, as you say here, discriminate. Okay. Now, as to, and I like the idea that you're saying it will be better if he could include. That's a very good strategy. In the exam, we could do that again. The speaker should have included or could have included this, and that. Maybe more concrete studies. How about a meta-analysis or a study studying, I don't know, a random selection or 1,000 companies and then proving in what percentage of the cases is there systemic bias. That would be a very good study to include, but obviously he doesn't. Okay. The evidence is relevant, since it matches the supporting idea and shows how programs are focused on. Yes, it is relevant in that regard. Clearly, bias is shown, discriminatory bias is shown in that Oracle internship and in some other. Clear preference for certain minority groups to the exclusion of other groups is indeed shown in some of these job advertisements. So in that sense, it is relevant, absolutely. Now, if you wanted to dig very deep, you could find a reason why it's actually not relevant. After you've said that it's relevant, that's fine. You could say, however, from another point of view, not all the evidence is relevant. For instance, when he cites from the Civil Rights Code, that document is not relevant. And then here, but to say that, you will have to dig very deep. Because if you actually chase that up, you will see that it's not really the Civil Rights Code that he's citing. He's actually citing an email, a response from a lawyer, written by a lawyer, to an inquiry. And the inquiry is basically, can interns be considered employees of a company? And the lawyer does not say yes or no. The lawyer says, you need to consider a number of factors, and he lists all these factors. And if you actually read this response written by the lawyer, and this is what the speaker is quoting from, he's quoting from that response from the lawyer, you will see that it's not very clear whether interns are always employees in companies. In many cases, they aren't. Now, why is that important? Well, the whole idea of discrimination and the fact that these diversity requirements are illegal, as he claims, depends on this. If an intern is considered by the law to be an employee of a company, then you cannot hire based on gender, race, and all that. All of these job advertisements would be illegal. You cannot say we're looking for black, Hispanic, women, and all these minorities. If those interns are considered employees, you cannot do that by the law. However, the lawyer, in that response, he doesn't say that all interns are employees. He says they may be employees depending on the following factors. In many other cases, they are not employees. What the speaker is doing, he's using that response from the lawyer, apparently as if it was the Civil Rights Code, to show that some of these programs are illegal. So in other words, he's using irrelevant evidence, because the lawyer himself does not reach that conclusion. He says employees, interns are employees only under certain conditions. And so that speaker in the video, he just really uses the response, the email by the lawyer, as if it was the Civil Rights Code, as if it was saying that in all cases interns are employees. So that's irrelevant information, you could say. So you could dig if you decided to dig a little deep, and if you had the space in your 200 words, you could actually say, after you've said that it's relevant, which is a good thing, you've done a good thing here, you could add, however, there is an aspect in which it's not relevant, in particular, using a response from a lawyer, apparently as if it were the Civil Rights Code, which certainly does not reach the same conclusion as the speaker. That's not relevant evidence. But that would assume that you would dig a little deeper. In the exam, you'll have several days. If there are sources that are used, and if you chase them up and you look up the source and you find that actually it's saying something slightly different or very different than the speaker, then it would be an excellent idea to put that in a paragraph. That will make you look very analytical. Okay, now let's see about the representativeness. I like what you've said here. They include only selective examples, which support the idea that tech programs have a particular focus. Yes. So in other words, they're not really typical of all internships in the whole tech field in all of America. So he's just cherry picking here. Okay, very good. It would be better if he showed internships for the majority. Okay, nice. So more selective, a random sample, right? A random sample of internships that unequivocally prove that indeed they are consistently discriminatory. Very nice. So you did very good here with this paragraph. Instead of people, just try to be very specific. Are we talking about interns, candidates, applicants? What are we talking about? Right? But overall, very, very nice. Keep up the good work, Nargis, as I'm sure you will do. And good luck.